Hello friends, so welcome back to our channel. And it's been long, I have not posted any videos, but this time I'm coming with a very demanding topic. That's called immigration. So people are trying to move to Australia, Canada, New Zealand. So basically I'll try to concentrate more on Canada part, and I'll try to highlight information related to Canada immigration. And in this series, this will be a series of videos which I will try to make. What are the different steps involved in Canada immigration? What are the criteria? How you can move forward for Canada immigration? What are the different types of Canada immigration? And how can you make your dream come true? So in this video is basically will concentrate on the criteria factors, how to calculate your comprehensive ranking score. That's called the CRS score, which will eventually lead to a ITA. So friends, now it's turn to dive deep into the criteria or different factors which helps to determine the CRS score in the Express Entry pool. First of all, what is Express Entry? Express Entry is an online system that is used to manage applications for permanent residence for skilled workers. Now, Express Entry manages applications for three economic immigration programs. The first one is Federal Skilled Worker Program. The second one is Federal Skilled Trades Program. And the third one is called as Canadian Experience Class. Other than these three, there is one more important program known as Provincial Nominee Program. So that depends on each province how they conduct the nominations. So that I'll discuss in future slides. Now let's get into the criteria factors for determining your scores or individual scores. So basically the first factor is core human capital factors. The spouse, common law partner, skill transferability factors, and additional points. Now let's take example of core human capital. This is again divided into sub parts. Factors which helps to determine your core capital score is like age, level of education, official language proficiency, Canadian work experience. Now in terms of age, if you are applying with a spouse, there's a different score, and if you are applying without a spouse, there's a different score. So now for age, you'll get 100 points if you're applying with a spouse, and you'll get 110 points if you're applying without a spouse. Similarly, for level of education, you'll get maximum of 140 points if you're applying with a spouse, and he'll get 150 points if you're applying without a spouse. Now for official language proficiency, he'll get 150 points when you're applying with a spouse, and 160 points when you're applying without a spouse. And the other one is Canadian experience. You'll get 70 when you're applying with a spouse, and you'll get 80 when you're applying without a spouse. Now let's go into the second factor, spouse or common law partner factors. So now you can get maximum of 40 points in this criteria. Level of education is 10. Maximum you can get for 10 in level of education, 20 in official language proficiency, and 10 in Canadian work experience. So now if I add A and B, that is core capital plus spouse or common law partner factors, maximum 500 points I can get from these two factors. Now skill transferability factors, you can get a maximum of 100 points here. So now it depends on your education and foreign work experience. For education, you can get a maximum of 50 points, and for foreign work experience, you can get a maximum of 50 points. Now foreign work experience means any work experience which is outside Canada. That's called foreign work experience. Now if I add A, that's core capital, plus B, that's spouse, plus C, this skill transferability factors, maximum you can get 600 points. Now only remaining 600 points we'll discuss in future how can we get that extra 600 points. Now that 600 points comes from additional points. So now if you have a brother or sister living in Canada, you can get who are permanent residents, then you can get 15 points from that. If you have a French language skills, you can get a 30 point, maximum 30 points from there. If you have post-secondary education in Canada, 30 points from there. 200 if you have arranged employment, and 600 points from provincial nomination. Now what does this provincial nomination means? That I'll take an example. If Ontario selects your profile from Express Entry, mark my word, selects, because now in terms of Ontario provincial nominee program, you have to have a valid express entry profile in the pool. And if you have a profile and your experience is in demand, or you can say as per Ontario province there are skill shortage of your type of work, then they can select you and nominate you. But for nomination, you have to prove all what you have, for what you have got the points. So first of all, what happens in the provincial nominee program is that they select your profile and give an invitation to you that, okay, Mr. X, we have selected your profile, but that doesn't mean you have been nominated. To be nominated, you have to submit all your documents to the Ontario province, and they will cross verify by their own means. And once they are verified and they are satisfied, okay, this is then they give you 600 points and they give you nomination letter. Once you get nomination letter, you get 600 points also. So with that 600 points, add to your CRS score. So once you get a provincial nominee nomination, then in next coming up draws, you get IT also. That's for sure. So now, so let's add up all the together. A, core human capital. The second one is spouse. The third one is transferability factor, and the last one is additional points. So if I add together all this, I get a maximum of 1,200 points. Now we'll break each categories into different parts and try to give scores to each category. Now, first of all, the first factor, core human capital factor. In terms of age, you can get a maximum of 100 points when you're applying with a spouse. And if you're applying without a spouse, you can get a maximum of 110 points. And if you are below 17 years of age or less, you will not get any points. That's 0. And maximum point you can get when you are from the range of 20 to 29 years of age. That's 100 when with a spouse, and without a spouse, it's 110. So you can see here, every after 30 years, every 5 points gets decreases. So if you are 31, 90 points, with spouse 32, 85 points. So you can see there's a decrease of 5 points. So your birthday gives you if you are into the pool and your birthday comes up and you are 31 turning 32, you lose 5 points. So that's a disadvantage. So let's now, in this case, let's take example of 32 years of age. A candidate is 32 years of age, so he can get maximum of 85 points in terms of age. Okay, that's the age factor. Now let's go into the other factors. Level of education of the primary applicant. Okay, now when a primary applicant is applying with a spouse, he can get a maximum 140 points in education. Without a spouse, he can get 150 points. Now you can see here there is a secondary diploma, bachelor's degree, 2 or more certificates, master's degree, PhD. There are different points for each type of degree. Now let's take example of master's degree. If you have a master's degree, you get a maximum of 126 points when you are applying with a spouse or a common law partner, and you get 135 points if you are applying without a spouse. Similarly with PhD, if you have a PhD degree, you get a maximum of 140 points when you are applying with a spouse, and without a spouse you are getting 150 points. Now in this level of education, let's take an example of a candidate who has a master's degree. He can get a maximum of 126 points here. Now the other factor, official language, first official language. So when you are applying for a express entry pool, you have to give a language test also, which I already discussed. So now let's take an example of your first language is English. So first official language is English. For that you have to give I.A.R.'s general training. So you can get a maximum of 32 points in each section. So reading 32, writing 32, speaking 32, and listening 32 if you're applying with a spouse, and without a spouse you'll get 34 in each. That's the maximum. That's called CLB 10. Now you can give, I have tried to explain you here in terms of example. That's listening, reading, writing, and speaking. If you get 8.5, 8, 7.5 and 7.5 respectively in listening, reading, writing and speaking, that's CLB 10 in each, then you get 128, that is 32, 32, 32, 32, that adds up to 128 score. Now second example, if I get 8777 in listening, reading, writing and speaking, that's CLB 9 in each, that is 29, this 29, 29, 29, 29, that is 116. Now I'll take example of CLB 9 and CLB 10, a mixed match of both the options. So if I get 8.5 in listening, 7.5 in reading, 7.5 in writing and 7.5 in speaking. Now CLB, in terms of CLB, this will be 10 in reading, 9 in terms of reading, sorry, CLB 10 in terms of listening, CLB 9 in terms of reading, CLB 10 in terms of writing, CLB 10 in terms of speaking. So if I add these according to these formulas, 32 in listening, 29 in reading, 32 in writing, 32 in speaking, I get a 125 score out here. So in this case, I'll take example of 125. So the next is second official language. French can be a second official language. So you can get a maximum of 22 points with a spouse, and without a spouse of maximum 24 points. So it's similarly CLB 9, so maximum 22 points, maximum 24. In this case, I'll not example of second official language. Now the next is Canadian work experience. So Canadian work experience, you get a maximum when you are 5 years of or more. Maximum you can get 70 when applying with spouse. Maximum 80 when you are applying without a spouse. So this is the one year you get 35. 3 years of a Canadian work experience you get 56 when you're applying with a spouse, and 64 without a spouse. So that in core human capital factors total you can get 460 points with a spouse, and without a spouse you get maximum of 500 points. So there's a difference of 40 points. That's okay. Now next, spouse. The If you're applying with a spouse, with your spouse, her uh, their points also adds to your points. So in this example, let's take spouse education. So if your spouse is has a bachelor degree, can get you can get 8 points here, and if your spouse has master's degree, you can get a maximum of 10. So you can see a PhD of your spouse or master's degree of your spouse gives you maximum of 10, not more than that. So spouse or common law mass partners education, you get 10. So for example, we have taken 10 here. Now the other factor, first official language of your spouse, maximum 20 points for section and maximum 5 points per ability. So you can see here, if I take of IELTS ARWS, listening, reading, writing and speaking 877, that's CLB 999. So you'll get 5 in each, 5, 5, 5, that is 20 point maximum here. If I take example of 6.5, 6.5, 6 and 7, you get a maximum CLB 7, 8, 7, 9. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 5 is here. 3, 3, 3 and 5 here. So 14. So in this case, we'll take example of 14 points here. Now spouse Canadian work experience. Similarly, if your spouse has 5 years of experience of Canadian work experience, you can get 10 points here. 4 years of work experience, you can get 9 points here. So if I add A plus B, that is core human capital plus spouse common law, you'll get maximum 500 points. So now the third, skill transferability factors, maximum 100 points you can get from here. So a university level credential for master's level degree, you get 25 here. And if you have a PhD degree, university level for doctorate level, 25 here. Okay, but this depends on your IELTS score also. You can see here with good official language proficiency, Canadian language benchmarks CLB 7 or higher, and a post-secondary degree. So there is a permutation and combination how they calculate point. So in this section, we can take example of education, 50 points here. 50 points here because we have taken example of CLB 9 in that case. Okay. The other one with Canadian work experience, similarly you can get 50, 2 or more years of Canadian work experience, and if you have a doctorate, it will be 50 points here. So Canadian work experience we have not submitted in the previous section, so it will take as 0. So the other one is foreign work experience. Foreign work experience means, as I explained earlier, any work experience outside Canada. So if you have a 3 years or more work ex, so you get 25 for CLB 7, and if you have a CLB 9 and 3 years of work experience, you get 50 points here. So in this case, we have taken CLB 9 or more in the last section, so we'll get here 50 points here. So foreign work experience with Canadian work experience. So in this case, we are not adding Canadian work experience, so we are taking a 0 point here. So now the total is 600 points because of A plus B plus C, that is human capital, spouse, and skill transferring factors. Maximum 600 points we can get here. The other factor, the additional points. If you have a brother or sister live in Canada or a permanent resident, then we can get 15 points from there. So I want to say you once more that additional point can give you a maximum 600 points. Okay. Post-secondary education in Canada, 15 points. Arranged employment, 200 points. Provincial or territory no nomination, 600 points. So if I add all the factors together, subtotal, you can get here around grand total A capital, human capital, spouse factors, skill transferring factors, additional points, you get a maximum of 1200 points. Now we have already done how much we can get from each factors. Now let's sum up together. Now you can try that to put all the scores in one. For human capital, we got 85. For level of education, we got 126. First official language proficiency, we got 125. Second official language proficiency, French, 0 points. Canadian work experience, 0. After that, level of education of a spouse, 10 points. Spouse first official language proficiency, 14 points. Spouse Canadian work experience, 0 points. The other one, skill transferability factor, education, we got 50 points. Foreign work experience, skill transferability, we got 50 points. For trade certificate qualification, 0 points. French, 0 points. If you have a Canadian sibling, 0 point. Canadian education, 0 point. Arranged employment, 0 points. And if you have, you can add up and just see the score, how much you get. And I'll take example of provincial nominee, 600 points. See, 1060, you get it. See, if you don't have this, your score will be around 440, 444. But if you get this, it jumps into 1060. So this is the process of calculating your criteria, your score in express entry. There are different factors, and each factor has a different score. So I've tried my level best to explain you how the scores are calculated, and also I'll give you the link of the from where the resources have been taken, so you can follow this link and try to see where you are and find your score, how much you can get. Also, in next video, I will just give you a brief introduction to the tool which helps you to calculate your CRS score. So basically, in that tool, you have to enter all your data step by step, and at last of once you finish entering all your data, it's around 3 to 4 minutes. Once you finish entering all your data, a final score will be given to you, so you can determine where you are and what needs to be done to improve your CRS score. See, first, for me, most important factor to improve your score is your IELTS score. See, you can't get a degree in a month or a two, okay? So you can't change your age, because age every year will be decreasing. Degree is a positive point, but you cannot get within a month or two. But IELTS, you can improve your score within a month or two. If you give a 100% dedication to that, you can improve your score. So if you improve your score from, say, in from 777 to 877, then there's a drastic score increase in your score that will help, and eventually that will help you to get ITA. So thanks, friend. And then in next video, again, as I told you, I'll help you to calculate your CRS score. There's a tool. So stay tuned till my next video. And in this sequence, I'll also try to explain you how IELTS can be done, basically GT, and how your ECA can be done. That's because without these two, IELTS, GT, and ECA, you won't be able to enter into the express entry pool. To enter, you need to enter into the pool. You need to have these two. So all the best who are planning to immigrate to Canada. All the best, do well, and stay tuned for further information. Thank you.